Hi there, my name is Carmen Lizaswain from Switch on Health, and welcome to tonight's free webinar on the Hierophant. If you're watching this live, please do stick around for comments and questions at the end, and feel free to pop any questions in the chat box as we go. We're excited to announce that there will be a draw for a $50 credit from us here at Switch on Health for one lucky attendee, and this can go towards your next enrolment, or whether it be your current course of study, or you might like to do one of our short courses. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're welcome to pop any questions you have into the comments box below, and we promise to get back to you. Also, if you're watching on YouTube and you like what we do, please do click on the subscribe button, because the more subscribers we have, the more we can offer, and we look forward to offering you more. So tonight, I am very excited to be welcoming Brenda Rogers. So from the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is one of the largest herbal and homeopathic dispensaries in Australia, and they pride themselves on the quality and variety of remedies on offer. Their staff can dispense single or combination herbs, homeopathics, and teas. And Brenda Rogers is the general manager of the Hierophant, and she is a distinguished naturopath and holistic practitioner. And she brings over 3 decades of expertise in natural healing to her practice, empowering individuals to achieve optimal health and vitality through a balanced and integrated approach. The skilled practitioners at the Hierophant offer a range of healing modalities, including homeopathic and herbal treatments, allergy testing, and life and wellness coaching and other services. Their experienced team regularly conducts also complementary therapy information sessions and workshops, with consultations available at the clinic and on Zoom. So, Brenda, thank you so much for your time this evening, and I will hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Switch on Health, for the opportunity. And I was kind of hoping I'd see faces, but obviously you've all been told to turn your screens off. So I'll go with that. That's fine. I was also looking at the list. Yeah, I can't hear you, darling.
Sorry, it's just a privacy thing because we're recording, but at the end, we encourage everyone to open it up and show their faces, because we like that too.
Yeah. I'll look forward to that. And I was just looking at all the names, and I think I see a gentleman, not just lady. So that's nice. It's the usual percentage in many cases, isn't it? So yes, I'm here at the Hierophant. This is the place that we work, and I'll give you a little tour of it in a moment. The Hierophant has been here for 37 years, and it was started with a very talented, distinguished practitioner, Kim Dudley, back in the early 90s, along with his apprentice, if you like, at the time, and that was Tim Thomas. And Tim's still here. He's 70 now, and he is a very qualified and accomplished homeopath. So we are largely, the philosophy here is very homeopathic. So, we narrow things down to simples. Sometimes the practitioners will prescribe herbs and they'll only prescribe one, and they might prescribe them in drop dosage. So it's a little bit of sometimes a little different to, certainly different to what I learned in my basic training 32 years ago at Nature Care, where we learned, the 5 mils TDS type of way of prescribing herbs. Nothing wrong with that. But there are more than one. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? We have. I'll start the tour. So I'm in Canberra, in case you're wondering where I'm located. Canberra, ACT. And you have behind me our herbal medicine and homeopathic dispensary. The larger bottles on the top shelves, top shelves, are our tinctures, fluid extracts, and you can see they kind of go on. And then the smaller bottles underneath are a very extensive range of homeopathics. So we have a lot of fairly big Indian community in Canberra, and that's a growing market for us, is to provide homeopathics for many of the Indian community, Pakistan, Sri Lankan, and they'll often have a homeopath back in India, and then they source the supplements from here. But we are also bringing on an Indian homeopathic doctor who also does herbal medicine and lifestyle medicine as well. So we're very excited about that. So I'm bringing you into the dispensary here. Down the bottom here behind the counter, we have a whole stack of unusual and rare homeopathics. So if you are studying homeopathy and you think, oh my goodness, I did my research and my client needs helianthus, and you think, where am I going to get that? I certainly don't need to stock it in my dispensary. Then we can help you out with that. What's another one here? I'm amazed at some of these. Oh, up here we've got the vaccines. We've got the Wuhan Novus vaccine. We've got the Omicron nosode. We've got the C19 M2 M2020. So just about everything that comes through when people start asking for, we try to get in, because we like to be a great resource for practitioners. And we also have a tea station here, so we do dispense herbal teas. And one of the things that I've been here since February. I've come on board to redevelop the business, to bring new education through, and new just workshops, and how to make a serum, or how to make a candle, or how to make an essential oil blend. And we're doing a lot of that kind of fun thing, that really mainly for helping us to be visible in Canberra and visible to customers who don't really know anything about herbal medicine, or who are maybe fully indoctrinated into the Western medicine model. For them to know about the practitioners, for them to even contemplate using naturopathy or using homeopathy, they need to be exposed to it in some, usually, ideally, a fun way. So over here in our library section, we've got a table there, and we will run herbal magic workshops. That was very successful. And what else have we done? Mocktails. We've done. We had an industry night here, and I made up a mulled wine with all of the beautiful herbal tinctures. The spices, which I've got a couple of them here to show you tonight. Yeah, so we have an amazing place here. Some of it might be helpful to you in your early days in practice, but it's been around for a long time, and some of the things that we've done here are really great examples of what you need to do to start and maintain a flourishing business. And any business is difficult, and my own experience as a practitioner and a naturopath is that when you first got to educate your clients and your customers about who you are before you can even sell to them, then that just adds another level of difficulty. And so we need to think of ways that we can improve the exposure of our potential clients to what we offer. So that might be, for you, that might be a little, weekend workshop in your home, or it might be, joining an osteopathic clinic and organising a workshop for the customers. But it's an important component of all of that. Myself, I'll just introduce myself. I started naturopathic studies at Nature Care in 1989. It's a very different environment back then. There was no government support for fees. We certainly weren't in the universities. which I kind of think is a good thing, actually. You know, it was a little bit hippie. It was, it was still a little bit hippie, not like the credibility that we have now. The education is certainly excellent now. I remember my nutrition classes really being about mung beans and tofu, and certainly my nutrition, because I specialise in nutrition, I love the Wise Traditions diet, and it's very far from mung beans and tofu. So, you know, your studies are a starting point, a launching pad for very exciting possibilities. When I finished college, before I even finished, I had a job with Blackmores, and Blackmores didn't have a 1-800 number when I started. It was just a 02 number, STD, and this was in 92. And then we had myself and another woman were the advisory line. And then we got the 1-800 numbers. They were just coming in as a concept, and we were very excited. And then eventually, within a few years, we had 20 naturopaths. They weren't all full-time, but we had 20 naturopaths on the advisory line. And yeah, it was a super exciting time to be part of the industry. The TGA had just begun, so then that adventure unfolded, which put a lot of it stymied the development for quite a while, but we've navigated that. We keep navigating everything. We're navigating registration to register or not to register, these kinds of things. I'm not going to go into politics as much as I'd love to. But I've seen a lot along the way. My personal expertise is now in supporting women through menopause, and I use the tools of herbal medicine and the tools of homeopathy, the bark flower essences, the bush flower essences, the essential oils, all these add-on courses that I've done over the 32 years, the life coaching, the homeopathy advanced, the fertility postgraduate training, etc., etc. And eventually you come to a place where you recognize who you want to work with. And I'm kind of in this position at the moment of working most of my time here as general manager and then doing my practice as a side hustle. And I thought, you know what, I've got the opportunity to really just want to work with people I want to work with. And how am I going to do that? How am I going to set up the systems so that I funnel out the people I don't want to work with by the time they come to my first session with me. So this is the business marketing side of things, which I absolutely love. Can be extremely challenging, but exciting. Now in Canberra, we have a lot of public servants here. They get paid very well. So, but I find it a privilege to work in an industry where I'm absolutely in love with what I do. And yes, the other part of it would be, I'm going to leave it at this, but the other part of it would be the personal growth journey. So, you know, I heard a lady come in today who was dealing with cancer, multiple cancers. And, you know, she'd sort of come out of corporate and she'd become an artist. But she talked about having the life sucked out of her by her corporate job. And I think a lot of people give that life away rather than have it taken from them. I think they actually give it. And you can give a lot of yourself as a naturopath or herbalist or homeopath, whatever you're doing. You can give too much of yourself and then you burn out. And then you dust yourself off and you learn something and then you come back to it because it never lets you alone. You're hooked for life. And then you burn out again because you're doing too much and you're not making enough money for your mortgage. And so then you get creative and you do something else and reinvent yourself. Yeah, so it's, you know, I'm at the sort of tail end of my career now, and I'm totally committed to giving back to the next generations. We are hiring students here, graduates and students here to work in the dispensary as what I call the apothecary assistant or the apothecary apprentice, because that's how you build your confidence, you know, speaking to people, seeing the herbs, using the teas yourself. We have a tea of the week that we give out, and I discovered hydrangea tea last week. I didn't even know about hydrangea tea, and it was delicious. And also, as we're doing with Switch On Health, we're building a collaboration so that you can do student clinic here. That's not all worked out yet. It's still in process, but it's certainly part of my vision for this place to be a mentoring space as well as a community building space. I thought of something there that I hadn't mentioned, but it's gone. So I think what is available for you is if you would like us to make up a script for your clients, your patients, we can do that for you. It's at this stage, it's really just an email with obviously we need prepayment and payment for postage. We can make up that. We do have the website, which has a shop on it, but it's not everything that we have. There's just a small portion of everything that we have. And the herbs aren't on there because obviously they're restricted. And we're just building and growing what we have so that we can serve practitioners and, and students increasingly in a way that helps you focus on what you really want to do. So, as I know, building up a dispensary is very expensive, and you buy that herb that you've just learned about, thuya, for example, and then you think, well, I've only used 50 mils in the last 3 years and it's gone out of date. So sometimes it can really make sense to use an outsource your dispensary to somebody like us. And I know there's others around, so find the one that works for you. Now, just checking in, Carmen, how much extra time I've got, because I will keep going.
You've got as long as you like, Brenda. All good to go. We're happy to just listen. It's awesome and fascinating so far. So keep going. All good.
All right. So if you have any specific questions to guide me, please pop them in now. I'd love to hear it. I have had a strong corporate career in health. So as I mentioned, I worked for Blackmores for 6 years. And then I kind of took off and did my own thing. I went into practice early and I bombed a bit, actually. I felt uncomfortable. I knew my stuff, but I felt uncomfortable taking on the responsibility. It was a responsibility thing that I struggled with, and I had to learn to be more responsible or more comfortable with responsibility in my own life. Being consistent with my living arrangements and finding a partner and these things that are like adult grown-up things. It wasn't really till I started to work on myself that I became better at being a practitioner. And it's really taken me 20 years to 30 years, not quite 30 years, to be really confident about working with people. And then even still, there's new herbs that come on board. There's, the Ayurvedic. Since I started, we only learned really Western herbal medicine. But since then, we've had Chinese herbs come in. We've had Ayurvedic herbs come in. I think I learned at the ATMS a seminar over the weekend, that there's now Malaysian herbs or Korean herbs and these other herbal medicine systems. And then, of course, we've got the Australian ones. Can't wait till they come through. Is the apothecary assistant role still available? It'll be an ongoing thing. Reach out, Sarah. How does one learn drop dosing for herbs? There isn't much info out there, and it's different to what is taught in colleges. Yeah, I mean, the education of natural medicine has gone down the evidence, what's called the evidence-based route. And, I think of it as a little bit of a more yang approach. If you think about yin and yang or masculine and feminine, patriarchy and matriarchy, perhaps if you want to get into that. Certainly, Kim Dudley, who worked here as a founder in this business, was huge on drop dosage and single herbs, and he used acupuncture as well. But he didn't write much. There's stuff he's written, but it hasn't been published. So we're working on that. Dorothy Hall was a huge proponent of this drop dosage. So anything you can get your hands on from Dorothy Hall is amazing. She's kind of dismissed sometimes, but once you delve into it, it's a bit like iridology gets dismissed, or even homeopathy gets dismissed. But then when you actually start to look at it and get into it, you realize it's just such a different way of thinking and a different model to Western medicine, or to even some of the naturopathic training that's happening now, that people don't get it. And then, you start to learn about it. We've got a very experienced practitioner here called Jerry Dendrinos, and he's going to be teaching about herbal energetics. You might have learned herbal energetics in your courses, but the hot, cold, moist, dry effects of herbs, which is maybe a little bit borrowed from some of the other systems of medicine. These really help us to deepen our understanding of a herb and why a herb might work for one person, but not for another. For example, sage, you might know sage is a very good hot flush remedy, but it can be too drying for some women. It can cause the vaginal dryness and the other dry effects on the skin. So it's not right for everyone. And this will come with immersing yourself in some way, whether like me, it was corporate. I learned a different way. I learned how to educate, because in companies, they want you to teach so that their products get sold. Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. And so my expertise became in educating and inspiring others, and practical usage and home usage and culinary herbal nutrition. Whereas some of the practitioners here have really become very academic in reading the academic books and the research papers and learned more from other systems of medicine. But you can't help it. You just kind of, if you've got passion for it, your passion will lead you down a path. Yes. Rixt is in Estri Learning. Some of you might be familiar. I think it's okay for me to mention Estri Learning. They're not an association like ATMS or AMPA or ANTA, but they're a kind of underground mentoring group that teaches the art. Some of the what we call the art, the more woo-woo stuff, got taken out of some of the courses because it didn't really fit with the government model that was required for teachers. Nothing wrong with that, but now it's kind of opening up in other areas. So estrilearning.org, I think it is, if you want to have a look at that, is one of the places where you'll get some of this vocational training. It's not like Switch on Health where you get qualifications and CPE points, and this is more vocational interest, passion training at the moment anyway. And they'll do some iridology, they'll do some astrology, these types of things are a little bit more out there, but also help you understand people. So one of the things that you can learn from Dorothy Hall is person pictures, and they're not always helpful in prescribing, but she will teach, what a chamomile person looks like, or what a dandelion person looks like. And if you think about dandelion, what's it used for? What kind of herb it is? I'll give you a little quiz here, a little pop quiz. What do we use dandelion for? What kind of actions does it have? Anyone? Probably a little bit of a time lag. Yeah, liver, right? Yeah. So what are liver symptoms? They might have, well, I'll ask you guys. Liver symptoms. I know you know a million. Are you here watching? Are you? Type it in. Fatigue. Yeah. Fatigue. Fatigue is a symptom of everything though. Low bile. Okay, low bile. But low bile, what does that look like in a person? What are they suffering with? Anger. They can be angry. They can be irritable people, and they can literally come in the shop. We've had women come in the shop that are like, and not just women, men as well. Basically, like, you're their servant. Get me my herbs. They don't really realize it. You've got to be compassionate and tolerant and patient with them. Sluggish metabolism, exactly. So they might be overweight. They might have nausea, but you might not see nausea. They might tell you about it, unless they're really bad and they've got yellow skin, but that's probably going a bit far. They might have skin rashes. Of course, all the skin conditions are liver, right? Liver with a capital L. Liver is detoxification. It's kidneys, it's bile, it's bowels, it's the vagus nerve, it's everything, okay? Poor fat absorption, yes, definitely, but that would be evident in the stool. So you will know that from a consultation, but you might not know that from just your neighbour sitting next to you in the train, for example. The good place to diagnose and categorize people is when you're out and about, especially public transport. You get to see all kinds of things there. Frustration, nausea, sluggish metabolism, of course, acne, the skin conditions in babies, and, there's variations with that kind of thing. So, a dandelion person, then you've got a bit of a picture of what they might look like. Terrible skin, a little bit of weight around the middle, maybe, irritable, impatient, fluidy. Yes, you could ask if their stools are pale. They probably won't ask you. I mean, us naturopaths will talk about stools over dinner all the time. It's just normal. And if anyone can relate to that. Anyway, I could really, excitingly rave on forever about all this stuff. I do have a little gift of from the beautiful herbal extract company. We received a ginger. So for the first person who can type in correctly the botanical name of ginger, I'm sure Carmen will grab their details so that I can send you some beautiful fluid extract of ginger. What's the, yeah?
Violet.
Not quite right. It's not officinalis, but Bo got it right. Yeah, and there's a capital Z and a little O. So that's, I think, officinale. Yeah, I think Bo's right. I think, correct, everyone? Sorry, Sarah. Missed out. Sorry, Eilert. Sorry, Simone. Yeah, there you go. There's a million things that I could say, but I just want to encourage you to honour your choice to be in the healing profession. It's a tough ride. It's a difficult life, but super fun, super rewarding. And as it says in my yoga studio, measure your success by what you have to give up.
Love it. Thank you, Brenda. Thanks for sharing all of that with us. It was really lovely to hear, and great to hear your journey as well as the happenings of the Hierophant. So I just had a few little questions if you have time. A couple of the things that you said as a experienced practitioner with 30 years behind you, and you did mention that it's kind of taken the majority of the 30 years to get to be confident, and I wondered whether you had any little tips and tricks for the students about confidence.
Yeah. Well, I'm in confident as a practitioner because I didn't become experienced as a practitioner by working in corporate. I became a presenter. I was very familiar with business concepts. I knew how to use um, Zoom before COVID hit. I learned different skills. And then when all that, when I, midlife crisis, when I decided to go into practice, uh, in a way, I was starting from scratch, and that was in my early 50s, and it's just it's saying yes. It's doing it anyway. It's women are terrible for being underconfident, and so I just want to say, pump yourself up. Not believe in yourself, that doesn't work. I think that what I've learned recently, the way to confidence is the first step. You've got to understand the process. The first step is just faith. Not even believing, it's faith that it's going to work out, that you know what you're doing, that if you go back to basics, you'll be all right, that if somebody doesn't want to see you again, it doesn't matter. Just faith that keeps you going for ages. And faith is kind of believing in something without the evidence. As you do it, and the only way to get confident is to do it. Everything else is bravado, really. Then you start to believe. Then you start to believe in yourself after faith. And then when you've believed in yourself for long enough, and you've had the experience of success, and you know what you're talking about, and you don't have to pump yourself up. It's just kind of like, I know what I'm talking about. Then knowing is the next step. You can't skip these steps. It's just the rules. So if that means going to a volunteer job in some country and being the the free naturopath for 6 months, and you can afford that, do it. If it means working here on retail wages for 2 years, do it. Just because that exposure, if it's working in a chemist, if working in a health food store, working as a reception in a clinic or something, it doesn't matter. Just it's the exposure and the practice.
Excellent.
And I just want to clarify, by the way, Carmen, that we are the Hierophant at the moment, but we're becoming the H Dispensary. And so, just so you guys know, there'll be both those out there.
Yep. Excellent.
Yeah, Melissa, we do need, it's cultural that we lack confidence. And can I swear?
Sure, go for it.
It's a bullshit lie that we don't know this stuff. It's not only are you learning it, but it's in your DNA. As a woman, as a mother, if you're a mother as well, it's in your DNA. You're only remembering it. So get your head out of the way. Do the work on yourself to ground and as connect. And I go to the Wise Woman's Gathering every year, and there's things like communicating with plants and all this weird stuff, and I absolutely love it because it just opens me up to getting out of my own head and being the channel and the vehicle for this beautiful knowledge. I mean, if you read Susan Weed, she talks about this heroic medicine, which is kind of where naturopathy's gone a lot into this sort of heroic version, whereas you could call it the Shiroic or the wise woman's way or something like that. That is really visceral. It's really embodied knowledge. And that can be just, growing vegetables, growing herbs, herbal teas. We sell tons of dried herbs. They smoke them, they drink them, they steam them for their yonis, they put them on their skin, they make perfumes and like that. That's just the herbal medicine world, and it's all in our history as mothers, as the matriarchs, as the key woman in the home, which is a role that's been diminished, unfortunately. And, you know, one of the things that I do with all my I don't see a lot of mother clients, like young mums, but I get them a lot in here in the clinic, and I always ask them first, the question is, what does your mother's intuition say? And then they go, oh, they have to think. You see them thinking, and then they come out with this amazing wisdom, because mothers always know best for their child, always believe the mother, always. But there's so much indoctrination to mistrust. And so I've had women say to me, I ask them, and then we guide them, and it might be to a tissue salt or a bark flower or a herb or a tea, depending on what they kind of think is what their kid will have. And then they'll thank me. Thank you for asking that question. That's amazing, because they need it to be validated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Another question, slight bit of a tangent, but you were saying also that recently
You need to mute.
Let's have a look. Sorry.
She's come off mute for some reason. Press the wrong button.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, just another sort of related sort of tangent question. You were talking about more recently as well, after your years of experience and, drawing on all of the different experiences and knowledge and everything that sort of brought you to where you are today, and you've been able to be more selective in the clients that you see. And I guess that sort of comes down to a little bit like a niche. What are your views about niches? Like, we hear that, you need to have a niche, or you need to have a couple of niches, or do you think you have to start off with a niche, or you just do a bit of everything for a while until you find what suits you, or how, what sort of importance do you put on a niche given your experience?
Well, I actually think a niche finds you rather than you find it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've had an illness yourself, and that's what's brought you, or a family member has, or your child, challenges with your child, and that's brought you to naturopathy, that's most likely going to be your niche, because something clicked over in you when that happened and caused some pain, caused some trauma. And it's your healing journey to I don't know, specialize in that, or learn everything you can, or help others with it, because, your mum died of da-da-da-da-da, and, she got, misdiagnosed, and damn it, you're going to save every other woman who had that XYZ illness. So I wouldn't be too worried. It can be, you could also just pick one, I think, but I don't really recommend that. I think people have just picked them, and if that's the way that you work, then that could be a good way of doing it. I definitely think that the niched practitioners are the most financially successful.
Yeah.
And especially if you're niched in something that you become very good at, that you can market yourself to be the like you're not just the best kept secret in Canberra. If you can align with a marketing person, or you are a marketing person yourself, or it's difficult to do the marketing without someone else, or an extra degree in it. Basically, I think that it helps to align. If you've got money, then it is worth investing in that other side, the business side.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
my opinion.
Yeah. Do you think the niche thing, you can sort of transition through different niches? Like you said, at the moment, you're all about supporting women through menopause. Is that something that you've always done, or that is something that, it's sort of become that because that's what you're relating to personally as well?
Yeah. Well, let me just think about that question that you just asked. Pause here for a moment. See, I didn't practice really full time seriously till my early 50s. And I'd been a naturopath on and off, or I've been a naturopath for over 20 years by then. I was a corporate naturopath. I worked for big companies. So I didn't need to niche. My niche was corporate naturopath,
Yeah.
really. But then when I went into private practice, I started off generalist. I would have picked, I would have, served anyone for nothing to start off with. But that soon became obvious that that wouldn't work. And then I went through a very traumatic time in my life. I lost a baby. I lost my job. I got screwed over basically, and um, it was the menopausal stage of life. So menopause is not a disease; it's a stage of life, first of all, and every woman goes through it. And there's 50% of the population are women. It's a bit like specializing in puberty or teenagers. You can still specialize in women, which most of us do because that's obvious. But then you could do, I can do, and I do the, I use, I've come to a point where I use health as the personal growth journey for the menopausal transition, which is very niched. So I use natural medicine and nutrition and getting healthy as the tool for transformation for a woman to become much happier in herself, because like women get to early 50s or postmenopause basically, and they don't know who they are. And so I could specialize in blood sugars. I could, because that's very common. Weight, tried that for a while, didn't really work. I could do hot flushes, and I have a sort of a hot flush program, because you've got to give them what they want so that you can give them what they need. They don't come to you for nutrition. They don't. Nobody wants to do dietary changes. They really don't. They come to you because they want hot flush treatment. They want to be able to sleep at night. So you got to remember, give them what they want so you can give them what they need. And the niche is the market pain, the pain point in that target market. So there's gazillion of them.
Yeah.
Did that answer the question?
It did, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Um, okay, I could just keep on chatting to you forever, but just respectful of your time and everyone else's. What I might do now is, if you're watching live, we'll stop the recording in a moment and we'll open it up for questions. Remember, there's also the draw for the $50 credit. If you're watching the recording, thank you for watching to the end, and learn more with Switch On Health.